What's up, you guys? Good morning, good evening, whatever applies to you. Hope you are staying safe. And today we are going to talk about how porn hurts masculinity. Right? There's several ways that this can go down, and in this case, I'm going to talk about, just like in most cases, I'm going to talk about 5 subtopics of the day. Right? There's many more ways. These are just some of the ways that I've seen, and I thought that I need to talk about because these things are rather overlooked. So anyway, the first subtopic of the day is unrealistic expectations, right? And second one is objectifying of women. Third one, breaking men's toughness. Fourth one, making men lazy. And fifth one, making men more agreeable. I'm gonna discuss these things and I'm gonna explain these things in more detail. I found the second one to be a little bit tricky, so to speak, because you don't, right away, you don't get how objectifying women can affect men. Objectifying women, objectifying femininity can affect masculinity, right? So I'm going to discuss this and I'm going to explain that in detail as well as other 4 subtopics, just so you can understand what I'm talking about. Moving to the first subtopic of the day, unrealistic expectations. Sorry about the sounds around. If any of that end up being in the video, because there's like a helicopter going on and shit happens in third world. Anyway, what I'm gonna talk about is unrealistic expectations, right? Pornography has portrayed women to be these weird beings who enjoy these like weird ass things, right? Like those are downright weird, straight up downright weird, right? Does a sexually healthy woman have a lot of sexuality? Yes, absolutely they do. But that does not mean that they are enjoying these weird things, right? They do not enjoy these weird positions or these weird fantasies when they do engage in sexual activities, right? And certainly they don't engage in the sexual activities for the sake of it, right? So in that case, it's really setting up a set of unrealistic expectations in there, right? Sorry about the break there. But in that realm, there's a lot of unrealistic expectations, like I said. And some of those positions make me really wonder, how didn't they end up snapping something in their body? Like I'm not talking about that kind of snap. I'm talking about legit an injury kind of snap, right? That's that makes me concerned, really. And there's a lot of things that I want to talk about, but I will boil that down and talk about a couple of examples, right? First of all, no human being, no sexually healthy human being is always sexual, right? That goes for men, that goes for women, right? No sexually healthy being is always sexual. Let's get that out of the way. And also, no, your neighbor's wife is not gonna hook up with you just because her husband was on a business trip for a week or something like that. And absolutely no, your pizza girl, right? In the rare occasion you would get one, your pizza girl will always get your order right, and also she will have enough change to pay up, right? To pay up for your change, she will have enough change. So get that out of your mind. That's not gonna happen. And when you are going out to look for a property, like those women will be professional about looking for the property. there's nothing else that's gonna happen. They are super professional, right? So get that out of your head. None of that is real. Those things do not happen in the real world, right? So get all those things out of your head, and none of the things that you expect will happen in the real world will happen when your perception of what reality is is so far skewed by pornography, right? So there's a lot of unrealistic expectations, like I said, and I mentioned a few of those. You have a lot more in your head, because a lot of people that watch this video are really experienced with this stuff. Probably not as much as I was, but experienced with this stuff, right? So get all that out of your head. None of those things will happen in real life, right? Get those things off of your head, and then let's move on to the second subtopic of the day, which is objectification of women. By the way, originally I wrote this down to be objectifying of women. That doesn't make much sense. So my brother pointed that out, and I had to change it up a little bit. Sorry about the more messed up lighting than usual, because our beloved government has just taken away our electricity for the day, right? So anyway, I'm gonna keep recording this video, and hopefully it will come out good, right? Like somewhat decent. Anyway, objectification of women. So this is rather a heavy topic for me, right? Because I myself was guilty of that, So it's really hard to deny that, and get rid of that past in your head. That will remain in on a side of your head, and really buried underneath of a lot of things, but it will be there. So pornography shows women to be these objects, and also as men we should protect women. As men we should bond with them on an emotional level, not just objectify them and use them, really. So that's what pornography shows. Pornography shows that women love being used, women love being mistreated, women love being in this situation where they are dominated to hell. That's not the case. That's simply not the case, and we should not be glorifying these things. We should not be normalizing these things, right? It's there's nothing about that is natural. So with that said, pornography shows that women are these beings who enjoy being called the most disrespectful names and the most disrespectful slangs in the books. That's not the reality, right? That's not the reality. And once you have broken that bridge, you have broken that emotional connection with a woman, there's no healthy attachment to it, right? I mean, in this day and age, it's so common among women that they have toxic attachment patterns because of the normalization of these things, right? And also men have different sorts of toxic attachment patterns where they don't see women as the beings to be loved. So that's alarming, right? So that's what objectification of women does. Like that, once that bridge is broken down, then you don't view women as human beings. You view women as more so objects, and when that happens, the society is crumbling, because a big bond, a big important part of a society is that bond. You know, like when that is broken, the whole cycle will keep getting broken down, one bond after the other. So this is huge, right? So that also is a part of masculinity, and once that's broken down, your masculinity will break down. um, you might see a difference in the setup, because the only natural light source that we have, since we don't have electricity, the natural life is precious, so the only natural light source is coming from that away. So yeah, anyway, talking, moving on to the breaking men's toughness, the third subtopic of the day, right? This is like really weird for me. Anyway, breaking men's toughness, right? I wanna make sort of a disclaimer in a way that this can happen to either gender, right? Male or female. This can happen to either gender, and this can happen in any case of addiction. But let's keep it relevant to the topic, right? So breaking men's toughness. When it comes to that, what I mean by that is that when you are addicted to something, right? Let's say pornography. When you are addicted to pornography, the moment you watch something, watch something related to pornography, some pornography, you will feel this sense of achievement without doing anything productive, right? So there's nothing productive, but there is a sense of achievement, right? So in that case, why would you carry any sort of load in life to feel that, when you can feel that doing nothing, but just sitting in front of your computer, or just sitting in front of your phone, right? So in a way that makes sense, but it ends up tragically, right? When we are talking about this, breaking men's toughness, it's like you get over the time, you will get used to not carrying any sort of load, right? But in that case, whenever the life in itself, presents a threat or a challenge where you're gonna have to carry some sort of a load in life, metaphorically speaking, you're gonna get crushed to the ground because you don't have that practice, you don't have that discipline, right? So in that way, I mean, let's be honest, men are facing much more challenging situations much more often, at a much higher frequency than women. So this particular thing affects men much more than it does to women, right? So that's why you're gonna have to quit this. You must quit this addiction, and there's no shortcut to it, right? There's no shortcut to it. You're gonna have to call it quits, or you're gonna quit when life presents you with a challenge where it is forcing you to carry a certain amount of load for a certain amount of time, because you don't have that skill, right? So that's a huge one, and that will relate to the main topic of the day, which is how porn hurts masculinity, right? Breaking men's toughness that way, like I just explained, is a huge part of breaking a man's masculinity, hurting a man's masculinity. So the fourth subtopic of the day, which is making men lazy, right? Pornography does make you lazy because when you watch pornography, you get like really excited, right? It is hyper stimulating, it is hyper exciting. Here's the problem with that: when you are used to that excitement, you're not gonna be finding the excitement in the real life stuff, the stuff that matters, the stuff that makes you a better person, the stuff that builds you up, right? So here's how it happens for two main reasons, right? One, usually the real life stuff do not give you the same dopamine spike, the same elevation, so to speak, dopamine elevation. And when you are used to that elevation, you're not gonna, yeah, when you're used to this, you're not gonna find this exciting, right? This is the stuff that matters, and this is just the overexcitement, right? That's the first reason why it is hard to be excited about those things, like the things that matter when you are addicted to pornography. And the reason number two is that the results in most cases are not visible right away, right? There's no instant gratification component to it in most cases. So when you have one thing that will provide you with a lot of joy, a lot of excitement instantly, and another thing that that doesn't provide you with nearly as much excitement, and also that doesn't show you any results right away, what would you like, we all are humans, so obviously we will lean towards this side, which is the messed up side, right? So when that happens, you are really lazy and impatient to pursue this for the long run, right? You want everything to be instant, because that's what you are used to, right? So when that happens, trust me when I say this, at some point in time, if you are not there, assuming you are not there yet, at some point in time, you will find more excitement in pornography than things like going to a gym, learning a different language, learning a different skill. Basically anything and everything that will make you better will fall under and underperform, because pornography gives you much more excitement in that regard, right? So that's why you are lazy. You become lazy. That's why you are lazy as a pornography addict, because you cannot feel that excitement, and when you don't feel that excitement, you are not going to pursue that, right? So that's how pornography is making men lazy, and therefore when you don't have that hunger, your masculinity will crumble. A huge part again of masculinity is that hunger to be better. It's that hunger. I mean, not to be better than everyone else. Not that. That's ego. But there's this component of masculinity where you want to be better than you were before, right? So when you are lazy, you don't have that hunger, and therefore your masculinity will crumble in that regard. Last but not least, making men more agreeable. You might ask, why is it a bad thing, right? Let me tell you why. When a man is more agreeable, right, they are compensating a lot. They do not set up standards for themselves. They do not set up a certain set of values for themselves. They are basically settling in for scraps and half-eaten chicken wings, things like that, right? They are not really valuing themselves that way. Agreeable people don't value themselves that way, right? Especially agreeable men. A personal experience, right? In my personal experience, whenever back in the day, whenever I talked about the things that were related to sexuality with anyone, I'm like, yeah, that whenever the topic of preferences come onto the table, I'm like, it depends on what the partner likes, right? It depends on what the partner likes, because I don't have any specifics, that kind of thing. Now, before you get on it and get on the comment section and say that I contradicted myself with some of my previous statements, I will set up the context for you, right? Because the context matters, right? The context matters. And also I don't want this to be some sort of a, there's good people on both sides by Donald Trump kind of scenario, right? I don't want to be taken out of context. So I will set the context straight for you. When I say, here's the context. When I say, I view women as objects, what I meant by that is that I didn't see the human side of them, right? I didn't see the emotional side of them. But when I say I didn't have any specifics, what I mean by that is that my brain and my spirit was so skewed and overloaded with all these porn-induced fetishes and porn-induced fantasies, to a point where I thought all these things are enjoyable, right? So since all those things are enjoyable, I was like, I would compensate, I would compensate a little bit, maybe a lot, just to wrap some meat around the chicken, so to speak. Did that work? No, absolutely not, because that, if anything, that made sure that my virginity remains untaken, right? That's what happened. But anyway, as a Buddhist who was raised by conservative Buddhists, that's not a big deal. Being a 25-year-old virgin is not a big thing. But anyway, my point here is that men who are addicted to pornography are much more agreeable, and that way they are compensating in every aspect of life. This is just one thing, right? In every aspect of life, they are willing to compensate a lot and settle in for the scraps, like I said. So, don't be that agreeable as a man, especially, because agreeableness tends to be more of a feminine quality than a masculine quality. It's like this. When you try to stick a cylinder into a square-shaped hole, it's not going to fit perfectly. There's no way, absolutely no way, that the cylinder fits perfectly into that square, right? There will be the holes or some other scenario that's not going to fit, right? So the agreeableness in a man is not going to work out well for a man, right? So since that's not that much of a masculine quality, and pornography seems to increase that, elevate that in a human, in a man, that will hurt your masculinity that way. What do I suggest men to do in this scenario? It's twofold, and it is really simple, right? Number one thing, you're gonna have to set up standards for yourself and set up boundaries for yourself and respect those things, right? That's the first part of the process. And the second part of the process is promise yourself that you will never ever bend over backwards and compensate and give up those values and boundaries and the respect for those values and boundaries for anyone or anything, because that promise will get you so far in life, right? And also, keeping a promise that you made to yourself is a huge confidence boost, right? So do that as a man, and as a human in general, you should do that. And the society is so deprived of strong people, so definitely do that. And with all that being said, this video has not been has not been one of the videos where I had the clearest mindset, so I apologize for repeating the same thing over and over again and making much lesser sense than usual. But anyway, all that being said, I'm gonna end the video right here. Like, comment, subscribe, share, all that stuff, all the YouTube stuff that will help my channel a lot, and I appreciate that. I'm grateful for the help. Until next time, I'm High Value Guy, and may the Rebellion bless you.